Namaste friends. Today we are going to discuss on natural school of jurisprudence. Here is one case, the case of Speluncean explorers written by Fuller. This is the hypothetical case which was published in Harvard Law Review Journal. This is the case about natural disaster where 5 explorers were trapped in a cave because of landslide. The rescue mission took more than 30 days, and in that period, those explorers had nothing to eat. To survive, they decided to kill one of them and feed other. After they rescued, those 4 explorers were charged of murder. Positive law of that land clearly asserts that who will willfully take the life of other shall be punished by death. But 5 judges who were hearing that case didn't have unanimous decision to favor the death penalty, and 2 said those explorers were compelled by law of nature. They are not guilty, and 1 judge recused from the case. This case is the great example of the contradiction of natural law and positive law. Natural school of thought believes that law is constant body of permanent truth. There is immutable and eternal law in nature. Law is universal concept. This law is unaffected by human belief and experience. Then how do we know the natural law? They use a priori approach which can acquire knowledge independently using reason and logic. Natural school of thought originated not as a theory of law proper, but as a theory of morality and ethics. Naturalist believes that moral principles are objectively valid and discoverable by reason. Identify principle of right action, common good, and human development is the ultimate goal of naturalist. The basic good of human nature are good for rational creatures, they believe. Most but not all natural law theorists are theists. Law is out there, either made by God or itself by nature, and it is superior from positive law. Positive law should reflect moral and unchangeable rule of nature. If human create its own law, that will starting point of discrimination and inequality. So, while codifying positive law, we should try to copy more and more from law of nature. We can divide the development of natural law in 4 stages: ancient period, medieval period, Renaissance period, and modern period. In ancient period, Heraclitus was the first philosopher in Greece. He emphasized on destiny, order, and reason. Socrates talked about virtue. He said knowledge is virtue, and whatever not virtue is sin, he said. And he also talked about natural moral law. Actually, we don't have any books written by Socrates, but his disciple Plato wrote many books about teaching of Socrates, so we know Socrates through Plato. Plato gave doctrine of forms. He also talked about philosopher king. His books are The Republic, Apology, The Symposium. Aristotle was a disciple of Plato. He talked about distributive and corrective justice. His books is Politics, Nicomachean Ethics, and these philosophers are from Greece. But there was another great civilization in ancient time, is Roman civilization, and Cicero was a Roman philosopher. He said law is highest reason implanted in nature. Unjust law is not law. His books are De Republica, De Legibus, and so other. Medieval period was dominated by church, and theorists of that time was also related to church. Saint Augustine said God is creator of universe and all its law. Lex eterna, cosmic law, is God's law. Thomas Aquinas divided the law in 4 categories: law of God, natural law, divine law, human law, that is positive law. And the divine law was the law written in scriptures and religious books, and Thomas Aquinas said church has the power of interpret the divine law. This way, he strengthened the position of church. In Renaissance period, social contract theory was one of the greatest theory. Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau worked on this theory. These three gentlemen talked about state of nature where there was no law, no state, and a kind of anarchy. So people came to social contract and form state and law. But Hobbes' assumption about nature of human is pessimistic. He said humans are brutal and selfish. So he support absolute sovereignty to control the selfish human nature. His books is Leviathan, Behemoth and other. Contrary to Hobbes, Locke said human nature is cooperative. So he give more emphasis on individualism and right of property. His books are two treatises on government, some thoughts concerning education and other. Rousseau talks about general will, favored community upon individualism. His books are The Social Contract, Confession, Discourse on Equality and other. Hugo Grotius was regarded as father of international law. He separated the law of reason from divine law. Natural law is fact and God is faith. Even God cannot change the law of nature, he said. His books are on the law of war and peace, Marie Librian and other. Kant emphasizes no role on circumstance or emotion on moral action. His books are Obligation, Critique of Pure Reason and other. In modern period, Stammerer revived the natural law with very well content. He talked about principle of respect and principle of community participation. John Rawls gives theory of justice based on original position and veil of ignorance. His book's name also Theory of Justice. Fuller gives 8 ideal virtues of rules. His books are The Morality of Law, Law in the Quest of Itself, Human Interaction and Law. Finnish gives 7 objective goods. His book is Natural Law and Natural Rights. Here are some quotations about naturalist philosophers about knowledge, law, morals and related topics. Virtue is knowledge, whatever not virtue is sin. Socrates. Law is finding of reality. Plato. Mankind must either give themselves a law and regulate their lives by it or live no better than the wildest of wild beasts. Plato. To seek to be wiser than the law is very thing which is by good laws forbidden. Aristotle. Rule of law is better than rule of man. Aristotle. And unjust law is not law. Cicero. True law is right reason in harmony with nature. It is of universal application, unchanging and everlasting. Cicero. True law is universal. Marcus Aurelius. All real law is civil law. Hobbes. Men are equal by law, not by nature. Rousseau. Freedom is the central of philosophy of law. Kant. Law regulates external conduct while morality concerned with internal conduct. Kant. Law is what equitable and good. Alpine. Law is the king of kings. Vedas. Reason is life of law. Edward Coke. A law which is not based on religion is not law. Aquinas. Law is nothing else than an ordinance of reason of the common good made by him who has care of the community and promulgated. Aquinas. Just law has need of ethical doctrine of complete realization. Stammerer. Law is a rule of moral action obliging to that which is right. Grotius. And this is all about natural school of thought. In next video we will talk about analytical school. Thank you for your time and attention. See you in next slide. Thank you very much.